Alaikum, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Right, firstly, please excuse me, I'm not the greatest public speaker, so I would just take this as it goes, kind of thing, see how it goes. But my story started really probably near on when I was about 16. I was typical young boy, settled down in a relationship. That wasn't the greatest of relationships, but we had a child from that, a daughter, a couple of daughters, and basically I lost my child. She was 4 years old, and I lost my child. But I'm not going to go too deeply into that. I'm going to try and, keep that in mind. From a mindset of losing my daughter, I took a very bad. I didn't want to be in this world no more. But I didn't have what you say, the guts to end it. I knew I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be part of this world. So with that mindset, I just looked to kind of destroy myself in an aspect. So from a very young age, I started mixing in with a very, you could say, a bad crowd at the end of the day, but it wasn't. It was my own. What's the word? It was me searching out for this kind of lifestyle that I wanted at the time. So from a very young age, I started taking drugs, and we moved on from there. So I was just trying to destroy, get away from the reality of this world, of this life. So from there, I ended up mixing with the wrong people, selling drugs, taking drugs, not just little drugs as well, like the not a horrible kind. And we started selling them. So we was running around. We was all running around an area called Woolwich, South East London, Plumstead, that area, and we were selling big amount of drugs. And from that, you ended up going from smoking a bit of weed to selling big amounts of drugs. So we was running around with guns and knives, and we all thought we were big time gangsters at the time. And then at the end, inevitable happened. I ended up going to jail. And this is where my first interaction with Islam come. I met a brother in jail, and I actually shared a cell with him for a few months. And in my ignorance, I used to moan at him because he used to wash his feet in my sink in the cell. So we started off. It weren't it was a good relationship in the end. We had gotten really well with the man, and he explained to me the few differences and the way the difference between Islam and Christian and the Bible and the Quran and things like that. So, but then I never knew about taking my Shahada, and I didn't know then. So I got out, and I was still on that mindset of wanting to destroy my life. So I went back to where I was, who I was at the time, and it went from like I said, selling little bits of drugs and running around with people to selling big amounts to taking, and inevitably you end up taking these drugs. You start with the little things like drinking and going out on nights out and things like that, and then because one thing wasn't doing it for me at the time, it progressed to another, to in the end I ended up basically having a drug habit, and I had to feed that drug habit. So you start the easiest way to feed the drug habit without getting in trouble is with people is to sell it. So you start selling it, and we started selling in big amounts, and I got very lucky. Well, I say lucky. I suppose it was in a way it was my journey. Maybe Allah was looking at me then and thinking this is how it's all set for me to come to Islam. But people around me started getting arrested and things like that, and I met the mother of my children. I've got two beautiful children. Well, I've got three. One's passed, obviously, but I've got two beautiful children, Kane and Amelia. And their mother really, she really helped me. She tried to get me into the straight and narrow and get me off the drugs and tried to do the best for me, but I think even in the end she gave up because I was in this self-destruct and I was just destroying everything around me, but she still allowed me to be a father, and I tried my best not to let one life interrupt with another. So my kids never see it, and they were young, so there's no excuse. At the end of the day, that's one of the things I look back on and it really tears me up. But they never see that side of me. Do you get what I mean? So I kept the two separate. And then, obviously, again, inevitably, I was in and out of jail. I got quite a big sentence where I ended up doing like 4 years inside. And it still didn't change me. And then, like I said, I was in self-destructive. So as soon as I come out again, it was straight back on the drugs, straight back trying to look to like kind of destroy my life. And like I said, I had a 15-year drug habit, drug fight. It was just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's just, I couldn't cope with the reality of life. I couldn't cope with like the loss of my child. I couldn't cope with like bad relationships, even to the fact where I lost the mother of my 2 children. Now we split up. So I was just all about just trying to, I had to even just trying to escape, I suppose, call it escapism. And we was out running out, and I had my moments where like things come unstuck. Like, as you know, with people who are doing this thing, who are selling the drugs, who are doing there's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of times where guns were pulled, knives, guns, things like that were all pulled out, and people were standing in front of me, and I've had guns put to my face, to my head, and I've been, I suppose in a way, even then, been guided of a way out of them situations, very sticky situations. One of the times it was actually, we walked into a house to do a drug deal, and there was a load of people in there waiting for us, and one of them turned out to be my uncle, which was quite like a very, very strange experience. Like, people were like, literally, when we turned up there, they were looking to basically end us, put us in the ground, and one of them turned out to be a family member from my dad's side of things that I hadn't seen in like 10, 15 years. Turned out to be my uncle, standing there with a gun to my face. So from that, that kind of really frightened me, put a very, very big fear in my heart, that I thought I'd never see my children again. The thought of like not being there for my daughter, not watching my daughter grow up and my son grow up, it really decided to change me. So from there, I decided to get out of that kind of like life, so to speak. But I still had the drug habit. So I went from selling it and doing all that and having the nice cars, the big life, the flashy, where everyone's looking at you and thinking, oh, this, like, people kind of want to be so much like these gangsters out there in the street, like, and I think they don't realise that a lot of these people are just trying to, they just got no aspects on life. Like, I didn't know what day it was from one week to another. I didn't know what time of year it was. It was just, it all kind of moulded into one. And then, so after I'd done all that, I gave up, tried to give up the drugs. It took me, like I said, 10 to 15 years to actually try and give up the drugs. And then I met, then I started going back to work. So I've taught myself how to become, I'm a good builder. I do like building work, and basically I was on a roof in Balham, and I was still in a lot of pain. I was still trying to escape, still having this battle with drugs, but the drugs were winning. And it was just, like I said, it was just a reason to try and escape. It was just trying to get my way out of this world, because the drugs put you in this bubble, and nothing can penetrate this bubble. Nothing can get into this bubble. Nothing hurts no more. No, you don't have no feeling. So, and I was going to work. I weren't selling the drugs and doing that kind of lifestyle. I was now going to work. So trying to maintain a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 kind of building lifestyle, it kind of comes hand in hand with the drugs and drink and stuff like that anyway. But basically, I was on a roof in Balham, and this happened literally last November. Just gone, I was on the roof in Balham, and a young man come past, Bilal Green, his name is, and he called me down because basically he was looking to do some renovation work on his mum's house, and he called me down because he'd seen me doing a loft conversion on the house about 10 doors down the road from him. And basically I come down, we spoke, and we chatted, and we arranged to meet. So I come up, I think it was the next day or a couple of days later, I walked up to his house, and every time I went to meet this man, he was in the middle of prayer. So I'd hear him reciting, I'd hear him do the adhan, the call for prayer. And it's something that, like, literally I sat on the stairs waiting for him to come down, and it's literally something that absolutely like it moved my heart. It's the only way I can even explain it. Even then, I didn't even know about taking Shahada. I didn't even know you even become Muslim. So I sat there and I listened to him reciting. I listened to the prayer. I listened to the Adhan, him reciting, and listened to the prayer. And a few occasions. So we sat there talking, and become quite close. And I suppose we've got this kind of bond. So we were talking, and he'd ask me my story, and then he told me his about his father, how his father come to Islam. His father was Abdul Hameed Crumpton, and how his father's journey come to Islam. And he'd send me lectures and send me videos on YouTube about like white males, white men, Christians coming to Islam. And I'd watch these, and I was at one point I was in a really dark place, but I knew like I wanted to stop the drugs now. But he was actually doing it, so I knew. Like one day I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and I think it was a breaking point. I was in this place where I knew I didn't want to go forward with the life I was living, but what other way do I go? So I sat on the edge of this bed, and I had this thought and feeling in my head that there's something more to life. There's a better way. There's other things out there that I needed to learn about and I needed to find out. So I rang this brother, Bilal, and we started talking. And this is the bit that I'll never ever forget. And I told him, listen, I need help. I need someone. I need a bit of guidance. I need help. I'm in a bad place. But I think I've got this calling. I think I've got this feeling in my heart that I need to learn about this Islam. And he said to me, and this is something I'll never forget, and it sticks in my heart and my mind. He said, my Islamic brother. And that's something that I can never explain. But I think people who maybe taking their Shahadas might understand, might not, I don't know. But to me, it was the most like beautiful thing to hear. It really touched my heart. So literally the next day we spoke and we talked, and he talked about Islam, about taking, and this is the first time I ever heard it, he said about taking my Shahada. And I was like, what's that? I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know you could become Muslim. I didn't know there was a road. So we spoke and we talked for a while, and he said, yeah, about taking the Shahada. I was like, okay, yeah, well, I want to do it. I can feel this calling in my heart. I can feel this I've got this pain in my chest, and I need it resolved, kind of thing. So he rang up his uncle, and literally within an hour, I was in Tooting Masjid, and the Imam of Tooting, I was taking my Shahada. But from what there, I didn't realise, when he said, literally, we're going to do it, his uncle's on the phone, he said, yeah, bring him down, we're going to do it now. I literally, absolutely, I got so scared. I was shaking, I was petrified. And so I kind of went down and I took my Shahada. And it's the first time, and I think in 15 years, that automatically, from the moment I said them words, it was like a pain, it all got released from my chest and from my shoulders. It felt like I could breathe again. And I can never begin to even describe or even explain the feeling of them words, taking my Shahada. I probably didn't even pronounce it, probably didn't even, when I look back at the videos now, I kind of cringe because I probably didn't even say it correctly, but the intention was there. And like I said, the pain, the release I got from that moment, I walked out of that room and I think I was flying. I felt like I was floating. It was like all the pain and suffering that I felt had got released. So that moment I decided that I was going to give up the drugs. So I did. I stopped smoking. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped doing the hard drugs that day. And it was rough, don't get me wrong, it was rough for 6-7 days. It weren't the greatest, but I knew I had Islam, and I got close to these brothers. And then I met Bilal's mum, and she gave me a lot of guidance, talking about the Prophet, peace be upon him, about all different stories. And she would send me links about there's one very good story on YouTube, and it's called Life of a Sinner. And it's about basically a brother he went out, killed and committed loads of crime back in 100 years ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, he committed crimes, he killed, and he come across a little girl basically, and he made him change his life. Watch the video because it's a beautiful, beautiful video. And he ended up changing his life, coming back to Allah, and basically ended up having a daughter. And his daughter was taken away from him. And that story really touched my heart because it was like, it was the words, it was my life. That's how I felt. It was like, this story was just basically me. And then like she would tell me things about my daughter, how my daughter's being looked after by Allah. She's sitting there at the throne of Allah. She's being cared for. She's waiting for me, and that gave me the only peace I found in these 15 years. And about the stories are like she would take me. She would take me on these journeys, learning about the Prophet, learning this like I said, this video. She sent me loads of other videos, but it was just the journey that I took from that was the peace I took from these times, where it was just purifying. It gave me this reason to carry on, and this Islam, and I've indulged myself in it, and I've not looked back. And like I said, in the first time in 15 to 20 years, I've been drug free since November the 9th. I've now come down to Lewisham Masjid. I've come meet these beautiful brothers, these beautiful sisters, some beautiful friends, made some really lifelong relationships, and I feel part of a community. I belong. I bring my kids down here. My children, my daughter, she comes in, puts her hijab on. My son puts his robe on, and we come down, and to sit there and pray with my children is probably one of the most rewarding feelings I'll probably ever have in my life. To sit there and watch, to see like how much my kids have embraced Islam. They go, because we're not together, we still remain a tight family unit. So they go home and they don't eat pork at home no more, and they're implicating it in the house, which is quite funny. The phone calls I've had from their mother about halal food, because the kids want to eat halal food when they get home. They don't want to eat this non-halal food and stuff. So the story, like the phone calls I've been having with their mum have been quite amusing, quite funny. But yeah, without going too in depth, this Islam is beautiful, and it's brought me to a place now that I actually feel I can progress now. I can move on. I found peace. I can start building my life. We just had Ramadan, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences in my life. Like this masjid, going to different masjids, and then I done a talk a little while ago in Ramadan, and I ended up meeting my wife and got married. Exactly, okay, bro. And I got married, and basically, yeah, my life has just turned around, and I've moved on. And for brothers out there and sisters out there who've looked into Islam or in the same kind of place, I want this for everyone. And I don't know if other people feel that way. I want this for everyone. I want people to feel this amazement, this relationship with Allah, this relationship with God. I think it's to me, it just made sense. It's what we are, it's what we're meant to be, and it's where we're meant to be. All this other stuff out in this world, all this running around, being a gangster, all this rubbish out there, that's not the life, and it proves that again and again and again. And for us to be here, I'm blessed. Sometimes, a lot of the time, I look at myself and I think, why me? But at the end of the day, I can't answer that. Maybe I'm on a journey for different reasons. I don't know. I can't answer that. But all I can say is, like, to brothers and sisters out there, if you're looking to take your Shahada, you're looking to come into Islam, then don't hesitate. Do it, and your life will change. Your life will change for the better, and you'll meet some beautiful, beautiful people. And that's it. That's basically my story in the short of it.
Abdul Hameed, I think very rewarding with khair, increasing in khair, blessing his children, his family, and inshallah keep him steadfast upon Islam and us, and Allah Ta'ala take us all time on Islam and Iman as well. Inshallah, we'll leave some time for questions and answers, inshallah. Sisters can, inshallah, he has water already. Use water on the side.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Inshallah, sisters can write down the piece of paper, send it down to the kids. Brothers can put up their hands, inshallah, ask the questions. I'll repeat it for the sisters. Inshallah, we can take from there. Remind inshallah, next week, Brother Mark Morris. Inshallah, his Jannah Islam, and the week after, Brother Donovan, his Jannah Islam, inshallah, as well. So be ready. That will be also interesting. Yeah, inshallah. So any questions? Yes, Musa.
Salam alaikum.
And apart from your children coming to Islam, is there any other family member also?
I think
Repeat for the sisters. So brothers asking, your children coming towards Islam, is there any other family member that has come towards Islam?
in my immediate family, there's me, my children, and my mother. My mother, when I first took my Shahada, I was scared to tell my mum. It was silly, really, because my mum, she embraced it, but she used to say to me, oh, I'm never going to come to Islam. I'll never be Muslim, because she had this view of women in Islam. But when I've shown her the differences and shown her it's not the way that people portray it out in the media and things like that women are very part of our religion, they're very involved in our religion. My mum now says to me, when I take my Shahada, will I have to do this? Will I have to do that? So the content and the way the things have changed my mum, and also the effect that I've had on family members around me. My mum smoked, and even smoked weed from the age of 13. She's 69 now. She stopped smoking when I stopped smoking. She stopped. So the positive influence I've had on the people around me, like my close family members, even if they decide they don't want to come to Islam, I think the positive input that I've had on the people around me is it's a massive change. To see my mum not stop smoking, and she's actually putting on weight and things like that. She's mashallah, she's looking amazing for her age. She's putting on weight, and and the effect that it's had on, like I said, the people around me. But yeah, inshallah, my mum will find her own journey to Islam. And like I said, from hearing I would never to now, she says, when I do, is a big step. And so I'm not going to push her. All I can do is support and help guide her. And like I said, inshallah, she will. So yeah, inshallah, make dua for me, Aki.
Just a reminder, he mentioned Bilal Green. So Bilal Green is the son of Abdul Hameed Green. If you don't know, look up Abdul Hameed Green on YouTube. He's a famous brother, very active in da'wah. He's been Muslim, I think, over probably about 25-30 years.
Yeah, it's 37 years, I think he took his shot.
Yeah. He's very active. Try to type YouTube Abdul Hameed Green, a very famous knowledgeable brother of ours, inshallah. So, further question, ladies.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My question is, since you have given this new life, and have you ever tried to your own life, your own colleague, to talk with one or few of them, convince them about the new life that you have inherited?
Yeah.
Okay, I just repeat for the sisters. The question for the brother is, now that you've become a Muslim, have you spoken to any of your old friends, colleagues about Islam?
Yeah, I have. Don't get me wrong, some of them, they don't want to listen or hear, but a few of them have. We had a brother come down, Randy, his name is, Abdul Hameed, and he's a very close friend of mine, and we done that life together kind of thing. We was like a little tag team partner. We done that life together, and he took his Shahada. So a little while ago. So yeah. So I think like I said, the positive effects you can have on people around you it's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, some people don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen. They're maybe happy for you, maybe not. Who am I to say? But yeah. So I've tried, and inshallah I will carry on trying. There's a lot of people that I want to. Like I said, I want this for everyone. Do you get what I mean by that? Yeah, I want this religion, this peace for everyone. I want people to come to Islam and feel what I felt, and have this beautiful religion. Look what we have, brother. So yeah, definitely, and I will strive to keep doing it, and inshallah more will come to Islam, Aki. More will come.
Inshallah, you mentioned you've done a lecture before, and then you found a wife. They say, each time you do a lecture, you might end up married.
No, one's enough, trust me.
Yeah,
yeah, get me beatings.
Question, inshallah, anybody else, brothers, sisters upstairs, any questions? Yeah, question from me, inshallah. So, Abdul Hameed took Shahada in November. Alhamdulillah. When did you come to the masjid here?
It was probably a few weeks after I took my Shahada. To be honest, I was scared to come here. I was like, new masjid, it was somewhere to walk in on my own. So I remember when I first come in here, I was so nervous, I nearly walked on the carpet with a pair of work boots on. I was that nervous. It wasn't like I'd not been in a masjid before, but to actually come here alone, on your own, it felt like a big step. So yeah, but once I come here, I was greeted by some amazing people, like a good friend of ours, Abdul Hameed. I met him and his son. They brought me to my first Jummah, and these are people I'd never met before. And it's just the beauty in Islam, isn't it? It's like these people I'd never met before brought me to my first Jummah, made sure I got home safely, made sure I was all, and just to get in the car with strangers and things like that, and for them to go out of their way and do what they did for me and help me and guide. I've had a lot of guidance and a lot of help from a lot of beautiful people. He managed to kill himself. A lot of amazing people have helped me and helped guided me to Islam, to help me guide to me where I am now. But yeah, I come a couple of weeks later to this masjid and I haven't looked back really.
Question in terms of from the community members, have you found love, support? It's a diverse community, so your white English.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt, people are mistreating me in any way, shape or form?
No, this is, I think like you said, it's a very diverse masjid here. And I've not found it in any masjid that I've prayed in, to be honest. Like today I was in Victoria working and I nipped off to Jummah. And from all masjids, everyone's assalamu alaikum, everyone's very welcoming, very warm. I don't think I will come up against any kind of issues like that. No, I've been very welcome, especially in my masjid here, Been very welcome, been very well looked after, been guided by beautiful brothers and beautiful sisters as well, who've helped me, guided me, and just brought me to where I am now.
Any other questions, brothers? Sisters, upstairs? Yeah.
Wa alaikum salam.
How did you get rid of your addiction, like drug addiction?
The question is, how did you overcome your addiction?
It was a physical addiction. It was hard drugs. Without going into too much details, basically, I know it sounds silly. I tried to give up so many times throughout my life, throughout them 15 years. This time it was easy. And I can't even explain to you how or why. It was Allah. That's all I can say to you, brother. It was Allah. He gave me that strength. And don't get me wrong, like I said, it was rough for a couple of days, a week. Like I was not sleeping, not eating. I was sick. And usually I'll just run off, go to a dealer, go and get drugs. Literally a day, 2 days at the tops. But I found it easy. It was like I had this inner strength now. I had Allah. I had this guidance. And literally from the moment I decided to stop, that day I took my Shahada, that week it went so quick. I can't even look back and remember. Like it went so fast, I can't even tell you every single day. And usually from a drug addict's perception is every second and every minute you feel it. And no, I didn't. I was surrounded by beautiful brothers. I was in masjids praying. I found a lot of peace in the mosque. And I found a lot of healing, I suppose. I got healed in the masjids, and so I just spent a lot of time in the mosque because I found peace there, praying. So just people, and yeah. So I can't even honestly, it's probably the best rehab. Like going to be honest, it would help a lot of drug addicts if they found Islam. I think we'd have a bigger cure for that disease.
So an important point Abdul Hameed mentioned in terms of the greatest cure is Iman, and that was the cure of the Prophet for the Sahaba. Yeah, remember somebody was drinking. Yeah, Iman is the best cure. Your faith in Allah Ta'ala. That's what you tried before. It wouldn't work. When you took your Shahada, Alhamdulillah, Allah made it work. That's very important to reflect on, inshallah. Any other questions, brothers and sisters? Okay, inshallah, we want to conclude. Firstly, to thank inshallah Brother Abdul Hameed for his journey, talk on his journey to Islam, inshallah. May Allah reward him with khair, increase him with khair. Inshallah, we'll probably put it on YouTube so you can watch it, inshallah. Secondly, inshallah, also please remember the importance of giving da'wah and engaging. His journey started in prison with a Muslim brother. Muslim brother was making his wudu, came across his first kind of experience of Islam through that. Secondly, then inshallah when he came out and he started working, he met Bilal Green, Abdul Hameed Green's son. Again, a discussion started, he started looking into it more, and finally, alhamdulillah, him taking Shahada and his journey of being a Muslim started. All with simple discussions. Everyone here is interacting in some way, shape or form with non-Muslims. Yeah, you work with non-Muslims, your neighbors are non-Muslims, you've got cousins, relatives who are non-Muslims. Every day you'll be engaging and meeting non-Muslims. What kind of discussions are you having? What are you doing about telling them about Islam? All of these are important discussions. The Messenger of Allah says, what did he say? لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. He said, for you to guide one person to Islam is better than the most precious thing in this world. Yeah? So now, Abdul Hameed, Bilal Green, the Prophet said, the one who shows something to someone and that person does it, the person who showed him will have the reward of everything that he does. So meaning now, when you're praying, he has a reward. When you're fasting, he has a reward. When you read Quran, you will have a reward. Yeah? And sometimes look, a person might pass away and die, but he's taught you. So you're carrying on, and then you pass it to somebody else, and that person carries on and passes it to somebody else. The one who initiated initially, Bilal, will be getting a reward for it.
I think what Imam Shakil said there is very important. We need to spread the word of Islam. We need to, for these people, we need to get the word out there and show people there isn't this media perception of what is out there. We need to show the people the beauty of what we have here. We need this for everyone. We need to go out there, and like I said, simple things, just talking to your neighbour, just chatting to people. You'll be surprised how many people would be open to hearing what you've got to say. And look what happened to me, look where I've come from and where I am now. If I can do it, if I can come from basically the depths of where I was at that time to now, anyone could be open to this journey. Literally anyone. So I think it's very important.
Interestingly, the Hameed was telling me maybe about a week ago, his daughter in school, we were discussing in our room, religious education, and they started discussing about Isa alayhi salam. And she started saying, even challenging Christmas, like 25th of December, when the Bible says it was springtime, or they were kind of like, leaves, so how can it be born in December? It must be another time. And she was challenging their teaching of Christianity and teaching of Isa alayhi salam. And it's a simple thing now. In school, her friends, everybody starts to realize that she knows about Islam. In fact, they're asking her questions about Islam. So through Abdul Hameed, and they live outside London, somewhere in Kent. Now those children and those families would not know about Islam to us here. We're stuck here in Lewisham. So Allah's used Abdul Hameed through his children, to, inshallah, others to hear about Islam. Yeah? And it all started with a few people discussing with Abdul Hameed. So it shows the importance of, inshallah, just speaking with individuals about the message. And inshallah, brothers, it doesn't mean you have to be very, very, very knowledgeable. Basic knowledge, basic principles, knowing about Allah and His Messenger, inshallah we can speak about that. So inshallah emphasizing the importance of da'wah, so please make sure you do that. And also emphasizing, look, I'm just watching everybody here where I was standing, look at the peace here. Yeah, look at the peace, look at the tranquility inside the masjid. It's what, 10 o'clock? People are going to go start wearing nightclubs and rave. Look what will happen there, the fasad, the fitna, the problems, the drunkenness, the gloominess, and the profanity and so on. And look at the blessings that Allah Ta'ala has given us. And you feel a sense of happiness and a sense of enjoyment. At the same time, look how many ethnicities here. How many ethnicities? White English, you've got Somali, you've got Egyptian, you've got Turkish, you've got Jamaican, you've got mixed, you've got Albanian, you've got West African, East African, Middle Eastern, Lebanese as well. So you've got everybody here, alhamdulillah, right? Brotherhood, sisterhood, this is where it belongs. Islam brings about true love and unity. Remember this is what we said before, Malcolm X, rahimahullah, when he was with the Nation of Islam. And when he was with the Nation of Islam, what happened? He was allowed to speak. When he became a Muslim, and made his Hajj, and came back and said everybody needs to be together, they assassinated him, they killed him. Yeah, because that's what Islam brings about, true unity, yeah, where there is no racism and so on, inshallah. So with that we conclude, inshallah next week, Brother Mark Morris.
Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah is it.
Yeah.